Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling an emotion that, well, let's be honest, we've all felt pretty intimately. Fear. It can feel like this solid wall, right? Like a barrier designed just to stop us dead in our tracks. But what if that feeling, that sort of prickle of anxiety, isn't actually the problem? What if it's a signal? Our mission today is really to unpack exactly that. We're diving into how we can take fear, this often unwanted, definitely uncomfortable feeling, and, well, transform it into a powerful engine for personal growth and maybe even success.
That's precisely the aim. We're doing a deep dive into some really practical strategies, some quite profound insights and actionable steps. These all come directly from our source material,
Mm.
Transforming Fear, a guide to personal growth and power. And it's important to stress this isn't about somehow eliminating fear or wishing it away. It's really about understanding it and then leveraging it, using it for real self-development.
Okay. So if you're looking for a way to get, swiftly and insightfully well informed on navigating fear, maybe even thriving because of it, this is definitely the place. We should find some surprising nuggets of knowledge, hopefully some practical things you can put into practice, like right away. Sound good.
Sounds great. Let's get into it.
All right. So the source material kicks off with a really fundamental shift. It asks us to understand fear differently. It challenges us to see it not as some kind of personal weakness, but more as a universal human thing, an experience we all share. It highlights this truth that often gets overlooked. Every time we face something new or unfamiliar, we're not the only ones who feel afraid. Which, isn't that kind of counterintuitive to how many of us were taught to deal with fear? Suppress it, pretend it's not there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly where this guide offers such a compelling reframe, a different way of looking at it. Instead of seeing fear as like an enemy to be beaten, it suggests we view it as a signal that we're about to step out of our comfort zone to grow.
A signal. Okay.
Yeah, think of it less like a big red stop sign
Yeah.
and maybe more like your internal GPS saying, hey, new territory just ahead.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm.
because growth, pretty much by definition, requires encountering the unfamiliar, right? The uncertain.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, that often means encountering fear.
Okay, so if fear is a signal, not this insurmountable roadblock, what's the very first step the guide advises we should take, like practically?
The crucial first step, and it's highlighted really clearly in the source, is to take action despite feeling afraid.
Despite it.
Exactly. It's not about waiting for the fear to just magically vanish, because honestly, it rarely does before you act. It's about moving forward with it kind of in tow.
Yeah.
Acknowledging it's there, but not letting it steer the ship.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so once we've maybe reframed fear a bit and taken that first, probably quite courageous step, how do we then build up the inner strength, the resilience to confront what comes next? The guide makes this really direct link between confronting reality head on and eliminating fear. It actually says avoiding or escaping will only make fear grow larger. That paints such a vivid picture, doesn't it? Fear just lurking and getting bigger in the shadows if we try to ignore it.
It really does. And to build that internal strength, that sort of inner fortitude, the source emphasizes cultivating self-confidence, specifically through positive self-talk. It offers a particularly powerful affirmation, which is, no matter what I face in life, I will definitely be able to handle it.
I will definitely be able to handle it.
Yeah. This is about building an unshakable inner core, really. A belief system that says, okay, whatever comes, I've got this. It's about fostering resilience from the inside out.
And I guess once you start building that inner core, it really informs the kinds of choices you make next, right? Particularly about the paths you decide to take. The guide contrasts the comfortable, easy paths with the challenging ones. And it says the challenging ones offer valuable experiences and learning opportunities. We're often drawn to comfort, naturally, but the source seems to be pushing us deliberately towards the challenge.
Exactly right. And when you connect this to the bigger picture, the guide strongly stresses how important it is to set clear goals. And then, crucially, actively work to make them a reality. Having those clear objectives provides not just, direction, but also the inspiration to move forward.
Right.
Without that clarity, that why, it's just far too easy to drift back towards those comfy, maybe less growth-oriented paths.
Yeah, that inertia is strong. This seems to bring us to a really foundational principle the source material digs into, taking full ownership, full responsibility for your life. It states very clearly that this means you will never blame others, ever. It's presented as the crucial first step toward gaining control and actually creating the changes you want to see. It's a pretty powerful stance. Almost non-negotiable, it sounds like.
It truly is. And if we're taking ownership, it raises this really fascinating question of what exactly are we owning? What reality are we responsible for? The guide introduces this quite profound idea that nothing in this world is inherently real. We create our own reality.
Okay, unpack that a bit. That sounds potentially abstract.
It can sound that way,
Yeah.
but it's less about, magical thinking and more about how our perception shapes our experience. Think of it like this.
Mhm.
Two people can go through the exact same setback,
Right.
but one sees it as a crushing defeat, the end of the world. The other sees it as, okay, a tough lesson, but a valuable one. It's how we frame it. That's the reality we're creating for ourselves in that moment. And this connects beautifully to the power of positive self-belief, encouraging us to really internalize things like, I am strong and valuable.
So, if we're actively creating our reality through perception, how does the source suggest we make that perspective shift practical? Like day to day, it brings up journaling as a powerful tool. It details the practice of recording and reflecting on experiences, and particularly how to transform disappointing events into positive ones. Even looking for good aspects in what you've always considered terrible events. How does that actually work on the page?
Well, it's an active process of reframing, consciously. It's definitely not about denying that something negative or disappointing happened. That's not helpful. Instead, it's about choosing to see opportunities and lessons hidden within every experience.
Choosing to see them.
Yeah. So maybe you had a really disappointing meeting at work. Instead of just writing, meeting was a disaster, you'd actively ask yourself questions like, okay, what did I learn about this client's needs? What did I learn about my own presentation style? Maybe what didn't land? What opportunity does this create now to maybe try a different approach next time? It's a conscious decision, to extract the growth from every situation, good or bad.
That's a great, very practical example. Okay. The guide also pushes us to challenge our sort of everyday ingrained behaviors. It gives this really specific, almost radical sounding idea. Try challenging yourself by living for 1 week without criticizing anyone. Just think about that for a moment. Like, no judgment, no snarky comments, not even just internally to yourself. It sounds incredibly simple on the surface, but probably incredibly difficult for most of us, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's harder than it sounds.
So how does the guide explain the power in doing something like that? What's
Yeah.
the payoff for what seems like a small act?
Well, it's surprisingly powerful because stopping that constant judgment, both of others and, importantly, of ourselves, it saves an incredible amount of mental energy. Just think how much bandwidth criticism takes up. The source notes how negative thoughts themselves drain your energy and make you more afraid.
Mm.
So when you're not expending all that energy on criticism, you free it up. You free it up for self-development, for fostering open-mindedness. You literally create space for more positive, constructive thought.
Okay, freeing up energy. And how do we actively fuel that positivity once we've maybe cleared out some of that negative space? The guide lists specific, quite tangible examples like reading positive books, listening to inspiring music or podcasts, or spending time with encouraging people. It sounds like we need to be really intentional about our mental diet, so to speak.
We absolutely do. It's crucial. And it actually goes a bit deeper than just what we consume. The guide suggests you should try to be the same kind of person you want to surround yourself with.
Ah, interesting. So it's reciprocal.
Exactly. It implies this profound reciprocity. If you want good, supportive, positive people to come into your life, you need to actively embody those qualities yourself first. If you want positive people around you, you have to cultivate positivity within yourself. It attracts like.
In thinking about those encouraging people, the guide also touches briefly on the role of relationships. It states that a good life partner will always want you to encounter the best things in life. It really emphasizes having partners, romantic or otherwise, who genuinely support your growth rather than maybe feeding your fears or doubts, even unintentionally.
Right, and stepping even beyond those close personal relationships, the source highlights the transformative power of giving. Specifically giving without expecting anything in return. It clarifies how genuine giving, just for the sake of it, creates positive energy and meaning in life and makes us feel valuable, capable of impacting others positively. And that, in turn, diminishes our own fears about our worth or our place in the world.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've redefined fear as a signal, talked about building inner strength, making intentional choices for growth, taking ownership, shifting our perspective, challenging behaviors like criticism, and actively fueling positivity. After all these powerful insights, what's the ultimate takeaway from the guide? It seems to conclude quite simply, taking action is the key to success. It emphasizes that all the knowledge, all the brilliant plans, they just remain thoughts without that crucial step, action. It's the ultimate bridge from idea to reality, isn't it?
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better. It's the difference between having, say, a meticulously drawn map and actually taking the first step on the journey. The map is invaluable, absolutely, but it won't get you anywhere if it just stays folded in your pocket. And this really brings us full circle back to that core message we started with. Fear is not an enemy to be eliminated, but a signal that we're about to step out of our comfort zone to grow. It really encourages us to accept fear, maybe learn to coexist with it, and crucially, to use it. Use it as a driving force for whatever it is we aspire to do or become.
Wow. What a powerful deep dive into transforming fear. We've really seen how the source material completely flips the script on something so universal, redefining fear not as that roadblock, but as you said, a direct signal for growth. We explored building inner strength through things like positive self-talk, making those intentional choices, really taking ownership of our lives, shifting perspective with tools like journaling, actively challenging those negative habits, and fueling positivity. And through it all, the clear, resounding message seems to be that taking action, even with fear right there beside you, is absolutely the key to unlocking our potential.
So considering that we do, in a very real sense, create our own reality through our focus and actions, here's a final thought to leave you with. What single fear, maybe one that's been holding you back, will you choose to step into this week? Choose to see it not as a barrier, but as that direct signal for your very next breakthrough.
A great question to ponder. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Really hope you can apply some of these insights and maybe begin to transform your own relationship with fear. Until next time.